am Tina, and I'm here again with Andrea Brook, founder of YogaGirl.com. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Tina.
Good to see you today.
You too.
So last week we discussed third chakra issues that connected us to our personal power, and today we're going to look at Chakra 4 and the Eastern and Western perspectives regarding love, connection, and balance. So we're going to explore our relationship with acceptance and understanding of ourselves and others. What is your definition of fourth chakra, and what is its purpose?
The name for the fourth chakra is Anahata. This is a beautiful word. It means the sound made when two things intersect without striking. So we can practice this by bringing our hands about a foot away from one another, and then quickly bringing our hands together. That's the sound made when two things intersect, striking. And if you did this with me, you'll notice that your hands are now back a foot away from one another. They've repelled one another. They've pushed each other away. Anahata is the opposite of this. Instead, bring your fingertips pointing one another a foot away, and slowly bring your hands together, letting your fingers interlace around one another. That is Anahata. It is a coming together, an integration, a bringing together, not pushing away, instead finding how both the left hand and the right hand, or two individuals, or two thoughts, come together into balance and support one another. It's an offering, really.
It certainly feels better, that's for sure. I was doing them both as you were saying, and the first one was reminding me of the car accident I was just in recently, and the second one felt so much better, and it was a joining, and it was mutual. And
yeah, it's beautiful. It's like an embrace. And what's interesting is, on a physical level, the arms, the lungs, and the heart are all a part of Anahata, the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra. And when you think about giving somebody a hug, you open your arms and you embrace one another gently and softly, and you feel that same joining together. And so this experience is, instead of it's interesting that it's the sound made, because really it's more of a feeling to me, a way that we experience it. It's an energetic experience.
yeah, it certainly is. I got that just from doing the exercises that you described. So what are some symptoms you've seen in people with fourth chakra issues? What does that look like in your practice, Andrea?
Well, the main aspects of the heart chakra are acceptance, understanding, compassion, and love. And I put them in that order very specifically because in order for us to come to a place of love and compassion, we really first must accept what's going on. So say, for example, a friend or a lover or a family member has done something that doesn't feel good to you. Our first reaction to that is to say, I can't believe you did this. I won't believe you did this. I don't even want to talk to you about it. It's pushing it away. It's just denying it.
Having the wall up.
Yeah.
Yeah, not allowing for anything separate from who the person is.
Yeah. And what, thinking, okay, well, I don't want that, so I'm going to push that away. I'm going to put up this wall, you can't come in here. Denial.
Yeah, there's no union there.
Exactly. And so that denial is the opposite of that acceptance. If instead, not that we are accepting it from the standpoint of saying, that's okay, but instead saying, okay, I know that this took place, and although I don't feel good about it, or it's not what I would have wanted, I accept that it's happened. Now the wall that you were talking about is down. There's an opportunity for communication to take place and for the next step to occur. For if I accept that something's happened, then I can listen to why to the background, to the causes, to what led to this experience. And perhaps even I can get to the next step in this four-part process that I see, and that is to understand. Say, okay, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Yet at the same time, I accept that it's happened, and now I understand why that took place. And maybe even if we can come to that place of understanding, we can recognize compassion. We can feel a sense of understanding that leads us to say, wow, okay, well maybe in the same situation, I might have done the same thing. And then suddenly that compassion opens up. And when we open up that compassion, then we can open up the space for love. And really it's in that love that we accept the other, we accept the circumstances, and we open ourselves back up to that Anahata.
So it's not just relating to relationships on the day-to-day, but it's also relating to things that happen in life.
Absolutely. A good example of this is the Dalai Lama. I went to see him speak about Tibet and the relationship between Tibet and China. And he expressed that he did not feel hatred toward China, that in fact, in order for Tibet to function on a world level, in this world economy that we now have, it needed to be opened up. And so, although the Dalai Lama does not agree with many of the practices that China has used and feels great sadness and would like to see things different, he also accepts that Tibet needs change and needs to open up and grow and learn certain economic and political world actions to be able to participate today in this 21st century. And so by recognizing that, then they can accept that this is where they are at this time. They can begin to understand what they need to learn, and then they can bring forth that compassion and love for themselves as a country and for who they are and what their potential is, what they have to offer on a world level, and also how to welcome the world into theirs.
Yeah, and what you just said, because the whole time you were talking, I was thinking that the same thing is happening in the United States right now, and that in a different direction, but allowing us, giving us space to welcome other people into our arms, to not be the only superpower, to make room for other people and other ideas in other countries, and people in those countries to expand who they are and to be able to be more and share more of the wealth and be more who they are and want to be as well.
Absolutely. I mean, right now on an economic level here in the United States, we're really looking at, well, should the top 3% of the richest individuals, should they be paying a higher income tax and sharing that wealth with the country and with the individuals around them who don't have that same level of financial capacity? So, fascinating.
Participating and doing their share.
Yes,
absolutely. Really. I mean, not so much as giving away, but also, doing what's right and giving their share.
We see it as an offering where each gives to the other. Because really, we look at things and we recognize, okay, well, what is it that we're doing and giving in any given situation? A lot of times there are so many different people and actions being done that support us to be able to do what we do. And then by us doing what we do, it then supports those individuals to be able to do what they do. And so it becomes this it becomes this integration of working together. It goes back to that third chakra of rather than power over, power with.
Interdependence with each other.
Yeah, and when we come to balance in that power with and that interdependence, then we can begin to move into the heart chakra and really begin to support one another. On a really simple level, the example that I would use of this is a breath. So for example, is a breath an inhale or is it an exhale? And could you say that the inhale is more important than the exhale? Or the exhale is more important than the inhale? The truth is that a breath is an inhale and an exhale. And you cannot exhale unless you inhale. And you cannot inhale unless you exhale. So really, the action of inhaling is an offering to the exhale. The inhale gives itself to the exhale. And the exhale is an act of giving to the inhale to create space for it to do what it does.
They're both just as important.
Just as important. And really, a whole breath is an inhale and an exhale. And so when we look at our economic system, we look at our country, our world, can we begin to recognize that what we do is an offering to others, and that what they do is an offering to us? We're supporting one another.
That's right. And that brings me to daily life with spirit. It's that connection with spirit. It's a spiritual union. And let's talk a minute about that, how we integrate our daily life and the fourth chakra in relationship to the breath. We just touched on that. But how do you help people integrate their day-to-day life with spirit?
I think it's important to go back to looking at the third chakra and our ego and our relationship to ego, where it's all about self. And our day-to-day lives are all about self. They're about how do we make sure we take care of ourselves and do the things that we need to do in order to exist on a mundane level. Moving into the heart is moving to a different relationship with oneself, in which we relax a bit, we open up. Instead of focusing on how does this serve me, we begin to look out to the world and to, whether it's just simply to our mother and father, to our family, to our partners, to our children. Children is a great example. How do we serve them? We look at it, we wake up in the morning and we say, wow, I want to do this because that's going to be an act of love for my child. She's going to have a great day because I take care of this, this, and this for her. Now, that's going to take your time and your energy away from maybe the other things that you would do for yourself. And at the same time, it's so important. It feels great to do that. And if we then open up and we look at the world as a whole, and we start to say, how can I offer service to the world? How can I do things that make the world a better place, that give to the world, that don't necessarily immediately benefit me, and that do take some of my energy, and yet make me feel like I am part of a bigger thing, and I'm supporting and offering my love and effort to a bigger thing.
There's a big movement right now selling through giving. So it's not so much about trying to sell something, but through the giving and other people receiving, it ends up that you do sell things. And I really love that. I love that message, and I love that that is happening now. More and more I'm seeing it every day with people offering things through their websites, free seminars, webinars, all kinds of things, e-books, and it's really nice to feel like you're really making a relationship with someone.
Yeah, it's so enriching to our lives when we feel that we are able to give. And no matter who we are, no matter how much money we have or where we are on an economic level, that feeling of giving becomes something that supports who we are and how we feel about ourselves. in a way that's not, that is self-gratifying in a much softer and more gentle way than the third chakra.
Yeah. So many people focus on life outside of themselves instead of focusing on themselves and others in a heart-centered way. How do you work with fourth chakra imbalances and people who are over-giving and not able to receive, or maybe the opposite of that when they're just unable to give?
The fourth chakra, because of its element, which is air, I always come back to the breath, and I always come back to connecting them to their breath to understand this feeling of the importance of receiving the breath and giving the breath. So coming into a balanced breathing exercise is really great. We could do that right now, in fact.
Great, yeah.
Let's take for a moment, let's just close our eyes for a moment and become aware that you're breathing. So first, just notice that you're breathing in and that you're breathing out. And even label it. Give it an internal mantra. So you're thinking to yourself, in as you inhale and out as you exhale. And notice that by doing this, simply becoming aware of the breath becomes deeper. And it becomes more enjoyable, more full, more rich. And it starts to give you more breath, more prana. In yoga we call breathing pranayama. Prana is life force energy. Yama is the harnessing. And so pranayama is the harnessing of life force energy. And so we can feel how by becoming aware of the breath, it deepens and we gain more of that life force energy. We also feel more relaxed and able to let our breath go, letting ourselves exhale, and thus giving our breath and our life force out into the universe so that that whole universe is connected through this breath. And then to come into balance within ourselves, let's start with a simple pattern of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Then deepen the breath and let it go in through the nose to the back of the throat and out from the back of the throat through the nose. Inhale through the nose to the throat and let the lungs expand. Empty the lungs and let the breath move out the throat, out the nose. Inhale into the nose, the throat, the lungs, and all the way to the belly, belly expanding. Empty the belly, empty the lungs, the throat, the nose. And then in a balanced 4-part way, we're inhaling and exhaling all the way down to our belly and all the way out from our belly. And we're finding that integration of receiving and giving, of the feminine and masculine. People are having a challenge with this process of receiving and giving, connecting with the breath and calming back down, coming into that balance, brings them back into a calm place, a present place, a mindful place. And in that awareness, we come back to the heart.
That was fabulous. I don't know about you, but I was transported into the middle of a rainforest somewhere with my bird in the background, who was so happy to receive his fresh bowl of water.
And I love the fact that you talk about the rainforest because we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. So think about how important we are for one another. This is why we need plants and we need the trees and we need nature around us, because there is an example of Anahata taking place at all times. The importance and joy of both us, the human, and nature, supporting one another, honoring one another, offering to one another, giving to one another.
Yeah. I noticed the difference in living here with my house here. That is, feels like out in the country, and compared to when I was living in New York, it was just such a difference. That concrete everywhere, and not having that just feeling of nature and breath, and I don't know. Even going to visit a nursery makes me feel good. Looking at all the plants and flowers and buying more vegetables to add to my garden makes me feel so great.
Exactly. Because, also with gardening, it is that action of giving and receiving. You put the time and the energy in, and it gives you back the flower or the food for you to enjoy. And so we see that giving and taking in balance to one another.
And it's an act of loving yourself. You're sustaining yourself. You're empowering yourself, and you know where your food is coming from. I just love it.
Absolutely.
So last time we talked about global issues relating to third chakra issues in the United States. Any thoughts on where the fourth chakra issues show up on the map?
Where is there a heart-centered country? I think that all countries are heart-centered countries. When we begin to let go of our concerns, I'm going to bring us back to the United States. Although I think the United States has a lot of third chakra energy to it, I think it also has a beautiful heart to it. There is a spirit of giving here, and there is also an importance of equality between male and female. Another part of the heart chakra is this equality of feminine and masculine. To the yogis, the right side of the body is the masculine, and it relates with the sun. It relates with assertive energy, so outward focused energy. The left side of the body is considered the feminine, and it relates with the moon and receptive energy, bringing energy in. Coming into balance with that feminine and masculine within ourselves and as a country has been very important. Being able, and I think that this is one of the things that we're working on, I think women are working on a lot right now, is how to be able to have a masculine aspect to themselves, to be able to do and manifest and work and make things happen and go out there in the workplace and to earn money and to support ourselves and to be recognized as intelligent and capable and to run for office and be presidents of companies
and countries.
Exactly. And to be able to maintain the feminine, to be reflective, to be emotional, to be caring, to be considerate, to be giving, to really do all the nurturing aspects of the feminine, and those beautiful soft, just even the word voluptuous, it gives us that sense of a hug. Being embraced in a voluptuous hug is so comforting. Like you think about mom, and being held by her, and it's a comfortable place to be. And so how can we as individuals bring that into to ourselves where the feminine and masculine are existing together and they're being recognized as equally as important? And I think we've done that a lot for many years now in the United States. We're still working on it. And because we're working on it, it's present. The energy is present here. And we're also looking at how do we do the same thing for other countries. Yes, there is this military might that we have. And I would say that that's a very masculine and assertive and third chakra aspect. At the same time, there is this part of the United States that wants to help. And is always looking at other countries and saying, wow, they need this or they need that, let's give them that. How can we show up for other countries that are suffering due to economic or environmental problems that are taking place? And so I think that the United States has a lot of this fourth chakra energy. And maybe also, with your comment of a woman as president of that country, maybe we could look at some countries like, say, for example, India, where you have women having reached high power, a high position in politics, and we could take a look and see if there is a good deal of that heart-centered awareness in those countries as well.
England as well. Not only with the Queen, but with Margaret Thatcher, was a very well-received leader.
Absolutely. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, I welcome our listeners to send us an email or let us know what heart-centered countries they think of, what countries they think of when they think of that heart-centered awareness.
Or any questions you would like us to go over before we start our next show. We'll be happy to answer those as well. So I know that I sometimes, when the end of my day, I like to change my clothes. And once I change my clothes and walk out the door, I'm back to myself. I don't have that business voice on anymore. Some people have a bracelet and they move it to their opposite hand. And then it's time for them to come back to balance or being back in their feminine. And what are some ways that you help other people in your practice to come back to that center of who they are, equally masculine and feminine?
There's a wonderful practice. It's also a type of yoga. It's called bhakti, and bhakti is devotion. And so bringing the spiritual back into their day. So we go through the day, and so much of it is spent on the mundane, on the day-to-day activities, on what we have to do, and the work we need to execute. So when we come back home, can we shed that awareness and go and step into ourselves as spiritual? And so bhakti is a wonderful way to do this. And bhakti is chanting. The turning on music that we love, and singing along with it. And in particular, there's a lot of music out there nowadays that are mantras. And these mantras, we don't even necessarily need to know exactly what they mean, but they're beautiful mantras that bring us back to just feeling that love in our hearts and that joy and that connection to spirit, so that we can balance out that mundane with that spirit of who we are.
You have some of that yourself. You offer that. What is your? I know you're a musician and you have your own CD. What is that called? I
have a CD called Chakra Beats, and it moves through each of the chakras musically, rhythmically, and also I'm talking you through the psychological, emotional component.
And where can people purchase that if they want to get that?
I recommend that they go to yogagirl.com. There is a Chakra Beats page, and that will direct you. But probably the best thing these days is just send me an email, Andrea@yogagirl.com.
So much, Andrea. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Tina. And to leave us all with a very heart-centered mantra, Om Mani Padme